Everyone, this is the Notebooks meeting for the 23rd of October, 2025. We cover a lot of topics here because there's a lot of things we maintain, which is Notebooks 1.0, 2.0, and the Kubeflow dashboard, and debatably the Kubeflow auth as well. So the most important thing, though, for people who join the calls is usually Kubeflow Notebooks 2.0, which is the full rewrite of Kubeflow Notebooks. There is a basic FAQ here under Kubeflow/notebooks, issue number 85. It's got some of the original design docs and the motivations for what's happening. Obviously, there's a lot of work that's happened since then, but the general idea still remains the same. It's a full rewrite. There's 3 components. There's new CRDs, one called Workspace and one called Workspace Kind. Workspace Kind is like a way that admins can define groups, or like for example, you could have a kind called Jupyter, and then you could have options in that kind for various things, rating images, meaning like Jupyter Labs with CUDA and PyTorch, and then pod configs, which say this type of GPU, things like that. Anyway, if you've got more questions, please ask in the Slack under the Kubeflow-notebooks channel. If you can't find the Slack, you can join it on Google Kubeflow Slack. CNCF Slack. Okay, the roadmap and tracking board, I don't know if you want to go through these, Andy, today, or if we're just, I don't think there's any.
No, but we will be getting better about that. I know Charles wrote up some secret stuff. Again, it's just a matter of, I think we have a lot of stuff to write up. I just need to find the time to do it. So we are getting close, but not yet.
Yes, we've got a new tracking board that we're going to use eventually. We obviously do have a lot of issues and other planning things going on in the board, in the GitHub tracker, but it still a little bit needs a bit of organization for it to be useful in these meetings. So if someone is new and wants to say hi, I think most people here I know, but I'm just saying, mostly it's just maintainers. So I'm just, unless someone wants to say hi, I'll just move to the next one. So yeah, always KubeCon. So I think, was there any movement on this, like around helping a slide deck? I know some of the other components
Eddar's on PTO, so as soon as he comes back next week, I'll be meeting with him to drive on that.
Oh yeah. So I think we have some other components that are, and we should probably also figure out what times we want to be at the booth. So like I think Valentino was doing a lot of stuff there. I'd have to quickly check where it was, but I think it's under. Let me just bring it up on the screen so you can see it. Okay, so there is one here. So I think that one was marked as still. Okay. Okay, maybe so I think there was a separate thread going on in the in this Kubeflow Slack. I forget which channel. I think it's probably a KubeCon one. That some of the other components have some slide decks. I think the idea is just like to have a very basic couple of slides that we can have the people at the booth present, and just loop through them when they're not there. And so we should cover the things that we care about in Kubeflow Notebooks, which is really Notebooks 2.0, why people should contribute, use as a package in their tools and whatnot. If anyone's got any ideas or is going to be there, please reach out on Slack to me, or and probably in that channel as well. And then we can organize if you have time to help. Okay, at the booth. Awesome. Okay, anyone got anything to add about KubeCon? We do need to do that labels thing. So don't worry about that. That's more of a note for me. That's just making sure we add some labels to the Kubeflow dashboard repo, making automatic PR labels take place. So the dashboard migration, I know there's been lots of happening here. Do you have an update?
Still charging on. I've gotten 3 PRs of Kimonos's merged. There's another one that I want to merge tomorrow, and then I think that gets all the code changes, where then the last outstanding one is the migration script. So we are making progress, at least on the kind of that initial task stuff.
So what do we do for the manifests of it, by the way?
Right, yeah, so that's going to come up. I just haven't looked at the migration stuff yet. So I know Kimonos has been talking with Julius about manifest changes, queuing up larger ones, but we're trying right now, just if stuff was like obviously missing in dashboard, that like only existed in manifest, moving that stuff over, but not large scale sweeping changes to that yet.
Cool. Yeah, so I do want to obviously try and structure the manifests if we can, similar to the Notebooks 2.0 ones, because dashboard will continue to exist, and while we're doing a breaking change to the manifest, it's just a good time to do it, I think, which is structuring it with customized components and overlays rather than random.
Yeah, focus right now though is just getting this like alpha build to vet that process. But yes, manifest stuff has been coming up in
When you say
discussion.
build, do you mean just like building the images?
Yes,
Okay, because like
exercising all of the automation and stuff to make sure it works.
I'm still a little bit concerned if I push an alpha that doesn't have the manifest refactor. I'm building is fine, but like worried if we tag an alpha without manifest changes, it will get synced into the manifest repo and not be the same. You know what I mean? It needs to change. I'm just a little bit worried about that, but it's up to you
Noted.
guys to decide. Okay, because I do want to make that change. Okay, let's. Okay, so I don't think there's anything else there. Anything else you want to add there for now?
No,
I think
that's it for
Kimonis.
dashboard.
If you
Progressive.
want to help people, please reach out to Kimonis and um on the Slack or in the Kubeflow notebook channel, I think, or maybe the Kubeflow platform channel. Okay, so let's keep going. Um, notebooks 1.0, I think.
I added that first bullet point. Um, we don't have to go into the add Liav, like the very first bullet point there. I'd like for Liav, who's on the call today, to start helping with a lot of the CVE and CNCF graduation work. And so I just wanted to check and give you a heads up. Do you mind if I PR him into that so he can have access to those reports and start to drive some of that work?
Currently a member of the org.
Yes.
Yeah, probably is fine. I mean, as long as Red Hat is the one taking responsibility in this case. Yeah.
Yeah, so Liang Hub is working with us, with Andy, for some time now. Actually, the guys have been working here around for since all landed here. The idea is that Liang and his team can help us on driving the 1.0 effort, especially for donation and all the CVEs and things there. It's just giving him the permission for checking the CVEs and start like actively working in those for preparing for the donation.
Yeah, you mean graduation. But it's yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
technically
graduation, sorry.
yeah, I mean, we need to do it either way. So if someone's wanting to do that, that would be useful. Of course, we probably need to think about what we mean by that. You know, so I think we talked about last time making sure that so that most of the CVEs that are currently there are automatically raised, but the ones that are raised by users are also visible there, obviously. That's fine. I mean, as long as Red Hat trusts whoever we're adding, that's probably fine. We probably should have like a code of conduct around like security related things, but we probably should do that. But but the um so in terms of I guess it all comes back to making a release though. So like, what is that status? Like, how far away from that?
We've been really stuck on just dependency hell. Kimonis did just earlier this morning around 6 a.m. Eastern time kind of weigh in on some issues we were having with TensorBoard web app and Volumes web app on how to kind of at least get us some short-term relief here. So I think all of the published PRs are open. The like update manifest script is open, but we were like waiting to get all of the um, workflow PRs merged, but I think we have a path forward now.
What sort of timeline do we think on getting those workflows?
Just the test ones or all of them?
Oh, I mean, probably all of them. Like both test, like build PR, build images at least. You know, that to get
Yeah,
to
so I
them.
mean they're all open. So I imagine at this point, like, we can probably get the lion's share of them, next week. I'll time box getting them reviewed, but a lot of this is a rinse, lather, repeat kind of thing. So I'd like to think that, this will go pretty quickly next week now that we have clarity on the two outstanding test workflows that were mucking things up.
So it's mainly just a direct copy from the existing ones.
Yes.
Okay. And I guess you say you're not blocked. No one. So there's no blockers there. Is this something that Kimonis is actively reviewing, or do you need me to review it, or?
I've been working with Kimonis on all this stuff, and he's been extremely responsive. So no, I think as of this morning, the one thing that was holding us up, we got clarity on, so we can kind of charge forward again.
I need to actually. This is the one label I need to fix as well, which is the one which adds the label to the CI section of the.
Yeah, yeah.
We need to fix that. We need to remember to do that so that it's much easier to find them. what I'm doing here, by the way, is just adding a label filter for the area, which should work automatically for PRs because it's based off, well, except in weird cases, it should work because it's based off where the code is changing. And area V1 should get added to things in the V1 branch. Area V2 should get added to things in the V2 branch. But the way we do it is actually adding it to the subfolder under each section, and rather than putting it at the root for a couple of reasons, mainly around merge conflicts when we eventually merge them together. So yes, anyway, so we should fix that. But okay, so as long as there's nothing happening there, that's blocking, I mean, that's fine. So in terms of actually getting to the release of 1.11 though, are we kind of aligned on what that will look like, or?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I mean, around adding people's security group, we should probably talk about that offline, but let's, I think it's probably fine. We just need to figure out a few things. Okay, so I don't know what the current rules are, you know, because yeah, who knows. Okay, any other comments you want to add there?
Nope. Like I said, I think we'll see good push next week. So yeah.
Cool. And of course, I think I do want to highlight that our intention is to not continue Notebooks 1.0. So like the idea is that nothing is necessary to exist anymore in 1.0 at some point. And this does mean like there will be a couple of feature things that look a bit different in 2.0, mainly around like tensor boards will just be a workspace kind if you would like it. But I don't think people do. But you know, and the other one is volumes, where we can also just create a workspace kind that contains the workspace. Sorry, the image that is used for the image volume viewer. We can talk about whether maybe we have a way to, and I don't really like it, but you know, we could do a sidecar that lets you browse the volume that runs alongside the existing one or something. If people want to quickly click a button, although that would cause their main pod to restart. So who knows? Like it's just I do want to get rid of the volumes web app at some point, just because it's just a needless duplication of a lot of the work in 2.0 when all the backend and controller stuff for Notebooks 2.0 is more than capable of just adding support for everything that it does. And also applying all the security fixes that we have for 2.0, mainly around like audit logs and not allowing users to mess with volumes that the admin doesn't want them to in the UI, things like that. Yes. Okay. So yes. So let's like, obviously we're not going to force that on everyone straight away, but and certainly not before the 2.0 is ready. But I just want to say that. Any comments about that or any disagreements there? Like that's my thoughts, but people can disagree. Okay, cool. If anyone changes their mind on that, please raise it. If you're watching the recording or you're from a company that really, for some reason, really likes 1.0, please reach out and we'll try and make sure that 2.0 becomes what you need it to be. Okay. Anything else, Andy?
Nope, not on 1.0.
Okay, 2.0. What is this part?
Build issue that from like pipe cleaning the deployment doc. I just have that there still. I opened up a PR for that first one. I just need to get an issue written up in culling to then make that better.
In which one? What is this problem?
Culling epic. This is webhooks break if it's injected, Istio injected on the controller deployment right now.
Interesting. Okay, cool. That makes sense that would probably happen, yes. Kind of doesn't actually make sense. Anyway, whatever, it's fine.
We talked about it last week.
Yeah.
So this is yeah.
I guess we're just saying that we're going to do it as false. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, for now, yes. I just have a patch to make it obvious that we then want to remove that eventually, but yes.
Yeah, we can talk about it later. Okay, cool. More of a technical thing. Okay, so in terms of the way we're trying to structure these priorities until we get the epics kind of cleaned up, this is actually, okay, actually, I think we'll still end up doing priorities, or maybe initiatives. I don't know. We can call it whatever we want. Because again, there's not a specific order to these, by the way. I mean, there is kind of, but you know, the idea is that this is kind of areas of work that from a strategic level, we need to make sure we're focusing on in preference of all other work related to Notebooks 2.0. The most notable one is obviously being able to deploy and use Notebooks 2.0 is pretty critical. Whether or not it's ready, it has to, all that machinery and infrastructure and testing and other things need to be ready. And so I guess the question is, other than the initial current outcome here we've got manifest, we've got published container images. I think we're almost ready to publish the wiki for the developer guide. We need to probably go through that this afternoon, and we'll have that there. And so once that happens next week, we'll show people that. We might show it on the community meeting. I don't think we'll show it straight away. I think we'll wait just a little bit. But I do kind of want to show it before KubeCon so that people can talk about it. And KubeCon, who knows? But it's just a developer thing. It's not for end users. And in the end, the guide will be consumed not by end users either. The goal is for the eventual version of the guide to be consumed by. This is a guide that explains quite a lot about how you would need to make a distribution. Because in our mind, if you're not using a distribution of Kubeflow notebooks, you're creating one, even if it's just for your company. Just because there's a lot of auth, there's a lot of decisions that you need to make around what images to build, what workspace types to provide, that requires a level of understanding that is beyond what a normal app consumer would be. So like that so in preference of users understanding it, they could use a vendor or an open source project that is a distribution of notebooks, and Kubeflow maybe overall. But the idea is that doc is not like, there won't be an official, like we might have a quick start, but it'll be kind of one of those, here's a very basic set of commands to install it, and you're kind of on your own if you want to do anything more than just play around. Here's the guide for if you're a distribution, but it's, like we assume that you understand networking and Kubernetes and stuff. Anyway, if anyone disagrees with that, I guess we'll come to when we actually come to a release, we'll see what that looks like. But I guess we need to think about what releasing means. And so so I guess other than that, current outcomes, is anything there? And after that, we've got next steps. But Andy, do you want anything before we talk about the next steps on that priority?
Nope, I think you did a good job summarizing where we're going with that.
Okay, cool. I think I'm just going to drop this middle part off because
all that's covered now. We still need, I need to clean up some of the
part.
technical steps, but I think all of this is encapsulated in the wiki, so we don't need to keep that.
Did we fix this bottom part around HTTPS though?
Yes, that's now, well, you can tell me, but it's using Cert Manager to generate the search now, which I think was the feedback there. So.
Yeah, we'll go through it and make sure it's right.
Yes.
That should be fine. I think. I'm just checking if there's anything else we may have forgotten there. I don't think so. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I do have all that reflected in there. We can just review the wiki to make sure it's properly formatted. And
we're talking about a doc that isn't public yet, by the way. Okay, cool. So we'll be soon. So next priorities after that. So I think under this section, I think the next obvious step will be end-to-end tests, which obviously once you've got a defined way of doing deployment, we can just make that deployment a test effectively. Those steps to make sure they work. And then we do need to think about what this means as well, which is we right now in the 1.0, the notebook images that are currently there are under the 1.0 section, but I think there are ways that we could do things that are kind of, yeah, I don't know. We'd have to, like, there's ideas here maybe that because like I want to avoid having thousands of images that we're publishing, but yet we need to kind of think of what the policy, like aside the actual mechanics of building and publishing images, we need to think about what are we actually providing from upstream, like are we providing, like what's the goal of it? Is it just a reference so that people can see what it kind of looks like to build trees of dependencies? How do we expect people to do things like Conda dependent, like Python dependencies? Are we going to do something fancy, like have some of the dependencies actually be pulled in through like init containers that copy stuff in to the main container rather than having the Python dependencies backed in or something? Who knows, right? There's so many things we could do, but anyway. So if anyone's got any ideas there,
we can talk about it more, right? But in my mind, like the value out of Notebooks 2.0 is not the images. And so I think we need a reasonable story here, but like we should invest our time developing on Notebooks 2.0 features, not like making a beautiful notebook image building system, because that's not the value add that we're trying to bring. So it's just making sure we strike that balance.
There is the possibility though that some features should be built into the controller to make certain facts less problematic. So I think there is like making right now the way it works in 1.0 and 2.0 is that you only get what is in the image that you select, right? You select on the when you're creating a workspace or a notebook, you choose one image and that's your environment. We probably won't support more than one being the primary one, meaning the one that runs Jupyter versus VS Code or both potentially on different ports. But I wonder if there's a way that we can at boot time say, here's kind of my base, and then here's some images of overlays, if you will, like kind of similar to the manifest idea, where it's like, okay, I don't want to have to install a Conda environment that's just basically a zip file built for this kernel version and architecture, with 30 different versions of like I don't want to have like that, because the problem is you end up with a multiplying factor where it's like, okay, there's different versions of the base, different versions of things that are like there's different versions of like I don't want to end up such that like there's I feel like there's a way that we can do something innovative here that will require integration with the controller, namely around Python stuff. I think it's mainly just around Python environments, because like other stuff is fine, but the multiplicative factor of like, hey, I don't want to build thousands of images. I don't want to build a new image every time there's a new Python environment for every version of every IDE kind of situation. I don't know. Then there is other factors that make that complex. I'm just saying this is something that I will just put it here, being like future ideas, init containers that act as overlays to copy under / of main container allows, and they could come with their own labels. You know, you can kind of imagine how this would work from a IDE perspective, from a workspace spawner selector perspective. Allows less matrix of images for Conda, Python, IMS, and other things. I don't know. Just it's a thing we probably should think about. Okay. If anyone's got any ideas about that, it's just something that I've been thinking about as well. Like, in the very least, though, I think the answer to this one is that we do need to probably make some Notebook 2.0 specific images. We just need to agree on what we're going to do for them. Any disagreement there, or other ideas? You know, so end-to-end tests, absolutely top priority there after this. But next one, I think, is agreeing on some reference notebook images so that we can have something for the first release. Anyone? Andy? Else? No? Okay, cool. Other ones, I think they're just some basic tasks here, which we'll come back to later. So I think there was a lot of work going on in this. I'm not sure. So this one here is making sure that the backend to controller to front end to controller to backend, all these connections happen for all the workspace related sections of the UI. And so what that means is they need to be calling the backend APIs from their generated client, Swagger, which is generated from Swagger. This means we needed a bunch of new APIs that were mocked up. I think we've got lots of progress there on the secrets. I think there's a little bit less progress on the volumes, but because it's a bit, we still haven't figured out some things. What is the status on this kind of work? Do we know?
Yeah, just a time thing right now, right? I think we have passable, like secrets we're good on. We need to create the stubs on API proposals for what we discussed on icons and logos, in addition to the compatibility selector work. And then obviously looking to get that stuff stubbed out. So, you know, that's just kind of like where we're at, and similar, you know, kind of broken record. I expect next week to be able to get a lot more traction, at least with the secret stubs out. And starting to get the rest of these to really unblock front end.
You did raise a PR or issue maybe about the secrets one, right?
There's an secrets management epic, and then Charles, I think, has started to add API work into that. So that's just the feature, but then there is a parent epic. But yeah, so I just have that up through the stub right now.
Implementation details. Is that okay? Yeah. Yeah. There's some discussion here about how this works, and I think it's pretty robust. But we'll see once we have a PR and if it actually ends up working or not. Hopefully it does. Okay.
Yes.
And so there's some features that come in with it, like making sure that admins can prevent specific secrets from being mounted to notebooks, so they can't just do anything. Similarly, being able to update secrets in the UI, preventing some of those. You can imagine situations where the secret is actually coming from external secrets. You don't want the user to be able to update them, obviously. Things like that. Okay, because they'll just get reverted. Cool. If anyone wants to read about it, I think it's quite interesting. I guess this I'll just link this here, I guess. Secrets. Cool. Okay. Anything else there? So what's the next current steps, I guess? So like the next 2 steps in here are get this PR open, continue.
Stub of secrets. The volume stuff we need to come back to, but I'm trying to pick off some more like lower hanging fruit things because the volumes one is much more complicated. So stub of secrets, stub of logos, icons, and then I'm gonna try to get a stub together on some of the compatibility selector stuff, even though I know that's not fully baked yet, but it might be kind of nice to see what that looks like. I will get API proposals written up for all of them, but that one might be nice to like have a stub sooner than later, and I'll just keep it updated as the discussions continue.
I think, yeah, we should probably have a note here, which is, to be clear, when we're talking about stubs, we're talking about adding minimal but not necessarily functional backend API specs so that the front end can start working on integration with them even before they're fully ready. But I think, yeah, so like questions around like rules or
compatibility selectors is what they're referred to throughout the working group notes.
Or like, yeah, I think, yeah, on WSK options, like this comes up with like the might need to have multiple APIs for the front end to call and only show the compatible options at like, for example, after user has chosen an image, only showing the compatible pod configs. Yeah, so that's just we're still debating how to do it, but I think the general idea is kind of interesting, where maybe we're adding a root list to the workspace kind, which kind of defines these kind of cross allows you to do things like, say, this workspace kind can initially, we won't be forcibly restricting it, but this workspace kind can only, it'll be hidden if you try and select, a CUDA image with a AMD GPU or something like that. But it won't stop you right now, but it will just hide it. And things like that.
And just for the sake, like there will be API, like just like the secrets API proposal Matthew was sharing, we will get like full API proposals written up. Just some of these ideas were recently discussed, and so we're still kind of ruminating on it. But we will transparently document all this as it hardens.
Yeah, it could change dramatically as well. But yeah, it's just the idea of the outcome is the same though, which is that you probably want to be able to prevent your users doing something that doesn't make sense, which is like using a CPU image on a GPU node, for example. It might make sense. Maybe you want to allow that only if the user knows that that's actually what they want to do. But for a lot of people, that could just be a waste of resource, So let's keep going. So is there any other things about this that we're blocked by to get this done? I think there must be things we're blocked by here, right?
I don't know if we're blocked, just haven't made it a focus yet. I think some of the update workspace stuff, as you have time after the recording today, Matthew, we'll look at that PR, or no, sorry, not PR, just the branch that you have to start to maybe break it up a little bit. But it still is in the same vein of like, let's get stubs out for all these things, and logs and events we just haven't turned attention to yet. Those will be similar things we'll broach in planning calls to then bring back to the community.
Okay, is there anyone from the front end who wants to say anything here about what they're like? Do they have work right now they can attack without like Probably not, right? That's kind of the problem, right?
Yeah, I've been talking with Charles. The secret stub stuff we need to land, so I will be looking at that tomorrow. But I've been keeping him up to date on that stuff to at least give them something. But then I think the logos and icons, we can get a proposal and stub written up so that early next week we'll have something probably reasonably locked in, and compatibility selectors will be coming soon thereafter. And then we start to look at some of these gnarlier ones. Continuing to work on the update workspace one in between, as well. But I think focusing on those 4 as we incrementally get those, that'll be more and more front end work being exposed.
Yeah, just complementing all the work from front end depends on the stubs being done. Then we can do all the carries and proceed with that.
Okay, cool. These 4 bolded ones, I guess, are the main ones. I guess the little icons as well will happen, but okay. So I guess we need to make sure that we need to spike into one of them then and get one of them done. So I think, is that the secrets one?
Yeah, sorry, the secrets one is the one we're blocked right now because I just need to open up the stubs, but the secrets one we are spiking on, and Charles is ready to move on that once the stub's there.
Okay, cool. And I guess, is it only Charles working on the front end right now, or will we have other people? Because we might need multiple things then, if that's the case.
Yeah, we can have others. Charles is just on the secrets one right now, but then we'll talk between Paulo and Guilherme. We'll figure out, what else is available.
Yes, cool. Okay. I do, yeah, because I want to make sure that we have tasks being able to be done by the front end people. Okay. Anything else you want to add there? So I guess I really do want to get this secret one done, and then also I guess we need to maybe the compatibility this seems like it could have a bit of work because it might actually be quite different. So that the API might change a bit for the create. So
yeah, logos and icons will probably be the next one, because I think it's reasonably defined enough after our last discussions that one can go. And then update workspace is functionally the most important. So hopefully we can, I just need more time, and I'll look to bring an initial API proposal, hopefully next Tuesday, certainly the Tuesday after. So, that's that'll be the big one to land, because then that lets us kind of then pipe clean the redirect stuff. And there's another bucket of work there as well.
Yes, is it on the list actually? It is here, I guess, down here. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. Okay, anything else anyone wants to add about this section? Because this priority is the one that's where the bulk of the work is for most people. There is lots of work on the other ones, but only a couple of people can really do the other ones. Priority 2 and 1, 3 and 1. So, is there anything else anyone wants to ask or know here or suggest that we can do to make work move forward, either on the front end or the back end, or possibly controller? The priority 2. Not. Then I'm going to move to the third one. So priority 3, I know that we've been doing a lot of stuff here. We talked about the generic one as being a next step, but we'll come back to that. So what's our current status on this? So this priority initiative, if you will, is making sure that all of the routing and connections to the dashboard and security, auth stuff, is in place for the actual end user to access the pods that they create. So the current reference implementation is with Istio and virtual services. I think we made a bit of progress there. I think there's 1 or 2 PRs that haven't been merged yet. We were going back and forth on reviews. Hashad, do you want to give a quick... And so for this... and so I think I just want to highlight before I hand it over to Hashad to explain what he's working on, is that, yeah, so then there's the next step is that for distributions who, again, I say distributions here, not users, because again, this is going to be very complex to do, who want to not use Istio, or at least to not depend on Istio virtual services. Maybe they would still use Istio internally. There is a new gateway API for Kubernetes itself, and while it doesn't have authentication, which might cause some, again, this is why it's a distribution thing, because the distribution has to manage auth completely on their own. The swapping out the CRD for virtual service with HTTP route and letting the admin just not, so then effectively it allows distributions to not fork our controllers and use them still without Istio. That's the idea here. So Hashad, do you want to quickly update?
Yeah, based on what Matthew said, we have a couple of pull requests. One is actually getting the controller binded with the virtual service. That's the pull request 500. We had it like couple rounds of pull request reviews there, but then there was a work based on end-to-end test which is pending in there. So there was a different pull request which Andy and Yash, another person, was helping us out with, and they are working on that, which is I think 652. That's the second pull request which they're working on.
646.
646, yeah.
And then there, I did get a review of Matthew. I just need to make, and again, I have that queued up for tomorrow to make changes. I don't think that's going to affect anything you were doing, Harshad, just simplifying a lot of the checks. I think it makes the code much more maintainable. So I just need to apply those fixes, and I plan on doing that tomorrow.
Right. So these are the two pull requests, and the current state is like I need to integrate the end-to-end test into the 500 pull request, and then I'll be open to a last round of, or like the next round of reviews. So that's where we are at.
Okay, cool. Anything else that you want to, is anything blocking you here? You have enough time to work on it? We're all good? Or
Yeah, from today onwards, I have enough time. Like last week, there was some internal company work which got me like pulled in, but yeah, from today onwards, I should have the plenty of time to work on it.
Yep. And if anyone's watching and wants to help out with controller stuff, please reach out. Obviously, we want to be increasing the amount of people who have the ability to maintain controller stuff. It is really complex, but it's surprisingly complex, I think would be the answer. But once it's there, it's pretty cool. So thanks, Harshad, for your work there. Anything you need help from or other people to look at?
Yeah, as of now, no, just the I need to look at the Andy's pull request and get it like included into mine, and that's what I'm doing.
So we're going to merge them as two different pull requests or separate together?
No, they are separate, just like I need to build a little bit more work on it to it, right? Like including the end-to-end test for this, for the virtual service bit. So that's what I'm doing. I think we'll include Andy's pull request first and then mine.
So what we mean by that is like when the controller tests end-to-end for just the controller, to be clear for everyone watching. The end-to-end for the overall app doesn't exist yet, as that's part of the first priority. The controller right now doesn't check, well, obviously it doesn't check whether the virtual service exists when you run the code, I guess. Is that what you're saying, Harshad?
Yeah.
Because your code just adds the virtual service to the control reconciliation loop, but it doesn't actually test yet.
Yeah.
Cool. And then to do that test, we would need the end-to-end test to install Istio into the cluster, which is kind of why that's why it's a bit complex. Okay.
Right.
Yep. Cool. Anything else here? I guess the next step, obviously, after that will be figuring out how we do SSH. And again, it's not, and again, we can debate which one of these is more important or if there's something else that comes up, but I do think this is pretty critical for the project. So like just thinking about making sure that we don't get hard dependent, like this shouldn't be that, I say it shouldn't be that hard. It probably is hard. Like the question is around auth, right? I think the question, like, we could do a very big MVP though, where we just route the TCP connection to the port 22 on, oh, but you can't do that because you don't have HTTP routes. We're doing all these HTTP based path routing. We have to think about that. Okay, so like we just need to think about, like, this needs to be designed. Like I want this to be designed as the next step of this, because we need to think about what the heck this looks like, because this informs this under one as well. Like that's kind of what I was getting at there. So it's a little bit more complex than it looks, mainly because all of our routing right now is L7, meaning that we have HTTP headers that are for paths and domains, and that's how you get routed to the correct pod from a single IP address. Like your browser goes to a single IP address, which is kubeflow.example.com, for example, your company's one. But SSH has no such header routing. You can do SSH key routing, but then even if we were just trying to make the MVP one, where it's like, I just want to have an equivalent experience of kubectl port forward on my notebook pod and then connect my VS Code to it, and then have all the security risks that come with that, but then manage my own SSH keys or something. I don't think it's a great idea, but you know, I guess the question is, how would we even assign an IP address to that? You know, is it a separate gateway? Is it, it would probably have to be. That's, you know, that's really the only explanation, I think, right? So, or I guess it could be ports being mashed onto your main one, but that seems like a mistake. Or is it more like we have like a virtual VPN that's, I think we talked about, there's an issue actually about it, I think, in here. I'll just open it up on screen. I'll link it here. that like maybe it's more like, you know, you have a VPN that runs in the mesh that you actually use to access it and never from outside or something like that. I think there was SSH, I think. Let me just, I'll just link this here. But for people who, I really want people to think about this, so I just will say it on the recording, which is, there's only like 3 options that I can do, apparently. I think there was a third that I thought of later. It's like, so a jump box kind of thing, which is what we were talking about, where we have to expose something on the public gateway somewhere for your company. Doesn't have to be the internet, but you know, your public gateway. Requires some kind of SSH key-based routing or port-based routing, problematic, or some kind of SD-WAN kind of thing where it's, of course, this can also happen inside your notebook as well, but that's problematic from a copying files perspective and things like that. So, who knows? Okay, if people have ideas, please comment on this. As it relates to Notebooks 2.0 now, which this was written for 1.0, I think it's a little bit more, we're a bit more flexible. So any comments there about what next around priority 3? Otherwise, we'll just move on. Any blockers for priority 3? Cool. Okay. I will skip over this section. That's more of a proposal for the future. Okay, so people want to, they can say what they've been working on, or unless someone else has a more important standing item they want to chat about in Notebooks 2.0. Anyone got anything about Notebooks 2.0 they want to raise generally? Okay. If you think of something, please type a message or raise your hand. Okay, cool. So, who, I guess, is Paulo here? Let's start with Paulo. I just go down the list. Anything you've been working on over the past week?
Hey, oh, just talking like we meet before, but I'm still working on internal stuff at Red Hat.
Okay. I don't know if Jenny's here. Oh, hi, Jenny.
Hello, I'm here too. Yeah, same status for me. I'm still prioritizing internal work, but I should have some more bandwidth to pick up some front-end tasks within the next few weeks.
Awesome. Okay, Andy.
Well, I think I covered most of my stuff on the prior discussion, so we don't need to go over that.
Also, yeah, I forgot to say, my main contribution's been reviewing people's PRs and reviewing proposals for the API docs and meeting with Andy and Hishad and others to try and get these designs done so that we can have people work on them without having a dependency on me to write the code. So that's what I've been doing. Reviewing and helping design proposals, reviewing PRs, proposals for the priority areas, specifically backend APIs. Okay, cool. Let's move to the next person, Hishad.
Yeah, as I mentioned, like I didn't get the time last week, just starting back on the 500 pull request as mentioned. Yeah.
Okay, anything blocking you for the next week then?
Nothing as of now.
Okay, cool. Okay, so hopefully we'll have some ready to review PRs next week, maybe?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, Charles?
Yep, so I opened the task for the secret work, and then I also, so I was also open 2 more child tasks there, like secrets attachment model and modify secrets creation model. We have the secret creation model right now, but I think it would need to be a little different, looking a little different from our discussion with Andy and on this meeting in general. And also, we don't have any way to attach existing secrets right now. So yeah, we need to write that up. I think there is gonna be one more task that I'm still thinking about, like how to word it and then document it in another one.
So
I'll
make sure
probably
that you're
open.
following the API doc that was listed here, right? Because the list API might look a little bit different than you're expecting.
Yeah, yep. I was discussing with Andy with Andy on this, so yes, I'm familiar with it.
Because you'll see like
Yeah, I've been playing back all the API discussions with Charles to make sure we're on the same page, and that model will continue moving forward. So he's you know, very comfortable with that.
my only other request is that obviously for now you're designing it in the context of the create workspace and update workspace, but make sure that whatever you design kind of makes sense as its own standalone page as well. You know?
Yeah, I was thinking on that. Like that's exactly what the third task gonna be. Whether or not we're gonna have like a view secrets.
I think we definitely
page.
will.
Yeah,
Just work under the assumption that we will have one for both volumes and secrets. Just
yeah.
because
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah, I can do that.
the question I guess is just whether it's an admin or a user page. You know, but I think it's probably both. But
Yeah, I think there should be both too, but like with some exceptions.
or maybe different focus, right? Like because I think the API we're talking about here, like admins probably care more about auditing and things like and monitoring who's using what, whereas users probably just care about doing a bunch of updates or something, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll discuss again, probably with Kyle on this and see what the admin should see and what the users should see.
But yeah, in the short term, obviously the only one that blocks the priority 2 is the create an update in the modal for that. But I think we should sort of be thinking about making it so we can copy and paste that modal into a different tab. Anyway, cool. Thanks for that. Anything that's blocking you, or what are you going to work on next, I guess? Are you going to take on some of those tasks, or?
Yeah, I will probably take on some of those tasks and then no blockers.
Do you know which one you're going to do
Open
first?
a little bit more. I think right now we're gonna do the attachment first, just so that we get it out of the way, since it's a little bit different from the current flow.
Cool. And when you say different, you mean different from the notebooks 1.0, or do you mean from what's currently
From
implemented?
what we have right now in 2.0.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. Yeah. Awesome. I won't grow you too much on that, but yeah, let's try and, even if it obviously finish the planning, but I do want to see like some kind of, you know, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like let's get one PR open,
Yeah.
or even
Mhm.
I'm not the one reviewing it, obviously, but you know, so that we can show it to people. But again, you're blocked by the backend API, aren't you? Actually.
Yes, essentially yes, but I think there are some components I can write without the backend. It would just not be functional, but yeah, there are some skeleton components we can write.
Backend secrets API stub. What's this one? Is this a separate issue?
This is a separate issue. So Andy brought this up for internal discussion, and I just want to make this a little prettier.
Where is this? Oh, yeah.
This is in the workspace details.
Yeah, especially if there's hundreds of these. Yeah.
Yes.
This could be a problem. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yep. Cool. I'll just put this down here under the heading. For secrets API for main PR to front end can be done for create update WS flow with secrets. Okay. And so what is this? Working on like improving label display in WS details. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Any other topics you want to add there, and we'll move on?
Oh. Good for now.
Cool. Is Kyle here?
I am here. I've mostly just I've had a couple conversations with Charles, so just kind of supporting the team where needed from a UX standpoint as they have questions.
Okay.
Nothing big.
Questions? Okay. Any other topics you want to add there? Anything you're blocked by? Anything we could do to make you able to contribute more easily?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Okay, cool. Any other people who are in the call who haven't had a chance to go yet? I think Liav, maybe? Oh, I spelled that wrong, sorry.
Hey, I'm here, but I didn't work on notebook this week. I'm working on notebook V1, all the publishing, the test, and the Docker publishing.
Cool. Awesome. Workflows and tests. For tests, I guess. Are you also going to help with the publishing one, or is that?
Yeah, he's driving a lot of the publishing stuff too.
Publish workflows for notebooks. V1. So have you on the test one? Have you raised all the PRs already? Are they just needing for review?
Yeah, except the two tests that we talked in the beginning of the meeting.
Okay.
Two test files.
Let's try and add some of those links there. Okay.
Okay, I can add if you need.
Ready for review by Kimonos?
They're not ready yet. I anticipate them to be on Sunday when the Israel team's back. So hopefully then by Monday we'll get those merged.
No, are they ready for review though?
Yeah. So Kimonos just gave new guidance, so we'll need those
Okay, cool.
changes incorporated. Yes.
Like raised review happened. Need to update PRs based on review. Okay. PRs are raised. Review happened. Yeah, it's fine. We'll just put them online. Okay, cool. And anything else you want to add there? Anything you're blocked by there?
No, for now.
Okay, cool. Let's. Cool. Okay. Is there? Do you want to raise the PR to add the label owner thing, or I can do that, I guess. But you know what I mean by that? I don't know if you have time, but the
I'll follow up with Liav and we'll get that there.
Oh, okay. Anyone else on the call who hasn't gone yet? Guilherme?
Thank you, Andy.
Hi, this is Guilherme. I've been busy in the last weeks with internal Red Hat stuff, but now I'm back and I'll be picking up some things to do. I'll talk with Andy and Paulo.
Okay, I'm gonna drop these ones off. So, is there anyone else we've missed? I think we haven't said anything. Oh, we have. Good. Oh wait, Edrill. I mean, I know you're more of a PM, but do you want to give any statement?
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just here to see if you need something from my side and unblock stuff. So cool. I'm not the important guy here.
Okay, cool. Anyone else got anything they want to add before we start the recording? We can. We usually what we do is we stay on and do PR reviews now. If people have PRs they need reviewed, we can talk about that. Otherwise, people are free to go or raise anything in the last minute. Maybe. Cool. Thanks, everyone.